Welcome to Coworking Out Loud, Karina. I'm stoked to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, as you well know, Coworking Out Loud is an exploration into the deeper side of coworking, content, and community. So today we're kind of going in on the content side, but I feel like social media, which is our topic of the day, it hits all of those things. For co-working space operators, definitely content, of course, and also community building with social, which is something people may not think about. But the place I want to just jump in with you is to talk about the importance of staying current with your social media, your bio, your content, everything, because I'm concerned that some people have a set it and forget it mindset with social. So what would you say to people about the importance of staying current?
Yeah, you're correct. People do just set it and forget it. I think knowing that social media is the first channel or the first option to reach people that don't know who you are. They're not your customer yet. And just telling, making any type of connection, I guess, organically without having to pay for anything. Social media is the way to go. And that's the case for whether you are, a small business or a brand, or if you are a consumer or even influencers. So I think that social has to be considered, yes, for like that top of funnel. But also I think we often forget that it's not something that's just going to run itself. It's not something that we have to maintain. We have to be up with like whatever the trends are, and we need to play not against the algorithm, but with the algorithm, right? And those are the frustrating pieces of social media. But it really is, it's like that one place, whatever platform you are using, right? It's the place to build trust, to gain that like voice and be able to build a community and a following or an audience. And you're able to do it more often than not for free.
It's kind of amazing how much trust building you can do on social. For sure with video, like there's something about seeing people's face. I know that I'm always getting pushed to like get my face out there more so people can relate. But also with copy, like the way you write, you can let people in and really humanize your brand. Like there's a lot, the power of social media is massive. And some people don't see that. They see it as a throwaway to like give to the new person. But let's talk about that, like the power of this.
It's honestly, it's a place, like I said, right? You are able to gain a strong voice. We know that social media channels aren't the place to have nuanced conversations. It doesn't exist. But you could really have powerful discussions. You can have really productive conversations on social media. Yes, context is always, it's going to be blurry depending on, whatever it is that you are voicing. And you're always going to have people that are just like, I don't agree with you, or I don't understand this, but I do think that we need to see it as an opportunity. I'm going to, in this, my example here, I'm just going to stick with Instagram but I think that it's so helpful when brands are using, Instagram as like, hey, this is what we are, why we're doing this. This is my brand and this is why I started it, or this is why I've created it for people like you. And if you are XYZ or you land in these, groups or piles or whatever, this is for you. This is your space. And so, what better place to voice that and have a fruitful discussion, on social media. You can do that on LinkedIn. And I think, yes, copy makes such a big, of course, you also are now working with search engine optimization and using keywords in your copy and trying to also balance that, like, how much of me as a human being and how much am I trying to, appease the Google gods. So there's,
it's a lot. I mean, the algorithms, the search thing, the humanizing your brand all at the same time. Like we do so much experimenting. And frankly, I find some of it really frustrating when you try different things and some things kind of hit, a lot of things don't. Then something takes off, so you're like, I'll do more of that, but the next one doesn't. It's a little crazy making. But something you said in there about letting people find you, whether they resonate or not with you, and also people who aren't your people can understand that too. Like if someone doesn't want to hear about community and storytelling, if they don't want me to, share what's going on personally and stuff, they're not my people, and that's okay, right?
It is.
Yeah.
I think that we, as a marketer, are always get scared, or we panic when people start to unfollow or unsubscribe from your email list. And it's okay. The whole point of social media is that it's always it's top of funnel. It really is just letting people know who you are and why you're doing this. And if they connect with your values and your goals, then they're going to come to you and listen to you and be there for that journey. Right. But if it's something that's, whether it's in the beginning, they're like, yeah, you know what, this sounds great. And then partway they're like, unsubscribe to this email list because this no longer serves my needs. That's okay, because we do the same, right? I mean, I always use like January as my detox email month, where I'm like, oh, finally all those emails that I've been meaning to unsubscribe to. It's just whatever is serving my needs right now, I'm going to, and so that's just the same. We can't panic about that. But yes, social is viewed as this is what we could be doing, where we could be showing people what we're doing, and your chance to kind of, we know that we love seeing the people behind a brand. We need to see the face. It's not just, it can't be, I would say robotic. It can't be faceless. It can't be voiceless. It has to have humanness. It has to have, connection. We need to be able to, there's some, something genuine about it that we are like, oh, this is the face I recognize because there's something in this person that I see in myself, or there's something that I'm trying to attain, or this space that they're talking about feels like I should fit right in, and it's going to be great. So you have to be able to, bring yourself. And it's scary to show up, right? And it's really hard to show up. Nobody wants to be in front of a camera. I mean, some people do, but it's hard to do that. And I think that we get caught up in I have to post, and I need to show my face, and I need to talk, and I need to present this, or, oh, this happened in the news and I need to be able to post and share my opinion on this. And it's like, you take a minute, think about, I always ask myself, is what I'm posting serving my audience? What is this going to do for them? And if it's if this is helpful, if there is value, if they will find value in this post, and I can explain how and why, great. That's something I should post. But if I can't answer that question, then I should just take a beat and not post, and allow the world to continue in its chaos. And, and I don't need to be adding to that noise. So it is, while social media can, you get caught up in all of it, I think that we always have to just keep looking at high level. What am I doing? How am I bringing people in? And what am I doing to move them along?
Yeah, there's a lot I want to dig into. And the first thing that comes to mind is knowing what your goals and intention are. You reminded me a month or so ago, how important social is for the top of funnel. It used to be 7 touch points. Now we're at 20 touch points for a brand. And for me, some of it is sharing, here's 5 tips, here's some strategies, here's this. I think a bigger part of that, and something that I've kind of built my brand around, is people feeling like I'm approachable and relatable, and the awkwardness, what we're used to seeing on screens is perfectly produced, things, polished things. People look perfect. Everyone's fabulous. And there's this huge curve you have to make with social. And I am not even there yet of embracing the awkwardness. Like being brave enough to show up as ourselves is what makes people feel like they can relate to us. And
Yes.
for someone who's building a brand around community, it's like, that's way more important than like 3 Instagram tips, like letting people, because when I get the most responses to emails is when I kind of open up. I'm like, oh, I'm kind of in it right now. This entrepreneur thing is hard. I get like 20 replies or like, me too. Thank you for saying that. Like that. So it does depend on what you're doing with your brand, but social is a door to do that.
It is. Actually, Kat, I want to ask you. So
Oh, God.
so we've been working on, I've been collaborating with Kat Johnson Co for, I don't know, 5 years. It feels longer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We should mark the date. Yeah.
And I feel like when we first started approaching Instagram content, I know in the beginning it was, and obviously back then, like reels weren't even a thing. But it was prioritizing photos and videos, and Instagram it's a visual app. It's all about aesthetics, right? And you have to balance the value and the education that you're providing also with the entertainment, as well as it has to be visually appealing in some way, whether that's funny, whether that's emotional or sad, but I think that when we first started and you were creating content, right? I feel like we've had this arc, especially with reels, right?
Yeah.
Just can you share how you've been how you had to get uncomfortable with being uncomfortable? Did I say that correctly? How you became comfortable with being uncomfortable?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, I really have a love-hate with reels because sometimes they're really fun. Like sometimes I do skits and they're funny and people like them. When I do like a trending thing, that one, boom, 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 that was really fun. Other times I try something and it just doesn't work at all. And I feel like, well, that was a waste of 90 minutes. Like it just, but in terms of the vulnerability piece, like, I mean, some days I'm in a hoodie and yoga pants and not feeling awesome. And I have a reel due and I'm just like, I can't, there's such a thing.
I'm texting you and I'm like,
I know.
I need this reel.
Where's that reel? Is that going out today? I'm like, so get ready, come to Kiln, get the light set up, do the thing, try to, be as authentic as I can within this thing of like, okay, we're trying to do something with this piece of content, whether it's, promoting something or just brand building. But, and days that I don't feel awesome about myself, I do not want to get on the camera at all. And, those hoodie days, you just don't feel it. So I think for me, it's about like, and also I just don't feel like I'm great at reels yet. I feel like I haven't hit the thing where I'm like, this is my thing for reels. I've tried a bunch of different things. I feel like I'm far more inclined to do like coaching and connection stuff rather than like, dancing and doing things like, so I definitely am still trying to find my sweet spot with reels.
Yeah. I think one thing that we have learned over time is when we are working, building out the content calendar and we set these dates for like, okay, there's this co-working convos coming up and we're going to be sharing the 4 guests that are speaking at the convos. And we know, okay, we're going to, spread them out across these dates and we're going to share their information. And then kind of filling in between, what are the other things that are happening? We're going to be creating content for that. And we have a brainstorming session and we spend 10 minutes talking about what type of content, maybe you need to create 3 reels and how are you going to break it up across 3 reels? I think one thing that we've learned and really work well with is also saying, hey, today I cannot make a reel. Today I cannot be on camera and I'm going to push this to tomorrow.
And it happens.
And it happens more often than not. And it's okay, because the whole point of what we're doing is it's not urgent. It's not, time sensitive, unless it was like you are having an event in your space, or you are launching a new product, or having, opening a new work area, or a meeting room, or you're, maybe you're collaborating with a local business or another partner or something. And those types of things, yes, they need to be posted in a timely manner. But for the most part, your messaging, your why, and what you're sharing with prospective members as well as existing members,
Right.
those are things that are just evergreen, or like, hey, this happened this week, or this is what's coming up next week. And those are things that just can be popped in whenever, but as long as you're consistent, and as long as it's not, we always try and stick to like our content pillars and try not to give too many things to overwhelm people. But I think that big lesson that we've learned in the last few years is, hey, it's okay. This didn't happen. We'll do it tomorrow. Or
it's true. A little bit of grace, a little bit of humanness in there. And there's some hacks. Like, one of the things I love is taking some footage and then just recording a voiceover.
Yep.
So, and then you can put the captions and stuff. And we're kind of going heavy on Instagram, but you and I talk a lot about this because we haven't quite cracked the code yet. But things like that, things like using footage from other things. So little hacks. But you said something that I think is such a tricky balance, where our content across social media, we need to be creating value and connection for people who are already bought in. Like for us, it's lab members, Convos participants, people who buy every product we put out. And also being a little welcome door for people who've never heard of us, or who have kind of like maybe come to a couple convos, but are still new to the whole CJCo ecosystem. And it's like, so I'm always thinking, like, what do space operators need? What are they thinking about? What are they working on? And I feel grateful that we're so close to our community that we kind of have a good sense of the topics.
Absolutely. I think that with any social channel, email is a little different because somebody has opted in. Like, they are further down that customer journey than someone coming to your LinkedIn or coming to your Instagram. And for me, I've now just written off, like, really, are we really using Facebook? And so, but if it works for you and that is where your target audience is,
exactly,
great, use it, right? I'm not saying, I remember when TikTok came out, and in the lab, we had a couple lab members, and they're like, should I like start a TikTok account? And I'm like, are your members on TikTok? Like, if they are, yes, if that's who you're trying to attract.
Right.
But if you are, again, TikTok is a primarily Gen Z, it's Gen Z consuming that content, and creating content. But if your target audience and your existing customers are not Gen Z, TikTok isn't really for you. It's fun, sure. Have we learned a lot of hacks? Yes, but that's not where your audience is. Maybe in 10 years it might be. Who knows if TikTok will be around? Who knows what
we'll be doing,
But I think that we have to always remember, two things you brought up. One, we need to remember where our target audience is. So if you, as Kat Johnson Co., you are attracting space operators, and you're attracting co-working brands and partners, and you're doing all of that to bring them into convos, right? And that's best done on a platform like LinkedIn, where you're able to share your expertise. You are an authority on the subject, whatever this topic is, and people are connecting in that, sharing like, oh yeah, I do this, or I do this, and you're able to connect better on LinkedIn for that. But if you are talking to, if you're talking about the day-to-day struggles of running a co-working space, like the most popular one is, where did all the forks go?
Right.
You're going to get more responses, engagement, reposts on Instagram, because it's something where we are like, it's a relief in the day. I mean, it shouldn't be. I know this is a terrible habit, but it's like, oh, okay, I've, finished sending off this email. I deserve an Instagram break, do a quick scroll. And, but it is something that, so knowing where your target audience is. The second piece is, you can't forget, we get frustrated with, I hear often, again, this is from the lab as well, and lab members are asking, why do I even need social media? It's not doing anything for me. I don't get any new members from it. And I'm like, well, take a step back, look at your customer journey. And before you even create a content strategy, and part of your content strategy is social media, or it should be, right? Because that's just one piece of, all the different channels that you are present on. Look at how social is working for you. Generally, it is top of funnel because we're using it as a way to tell people just be aware of CJCo, right? Not everyone in the world knows CJCo. We don't need everyone in the world. We need the right people who have the needs that we are meeting. We are answering, we're providing solutions for their problems through the lab, convos, the shop, all of the different resources and products that you have there. And those are the people we're trying to reach. And if you are doing this successfully, you are moving those people down the funnel and you get them to opt into an email. Now they're in the middle of that funnel. They've already shown interest, and now they're like evaluating, what do you offer? Do I want to join the lab? Do I want to buy this product? Is the social media audit challenge a product that I need? And if they convert, great. Now you have just moved them from top to bottom. Now, what happens if you're doing this successfully? You've just taken these people at the top and brought them down. You still have to replenish at the top. Like, that's an ongoing task in marketing, right? You can't just say, okay, I had 1,000 people and now I brought them all down and, oh, well, what do I do? You can't forget that you still continuously have to, again, it's that you are replenishing at the top because either they converted or they've lost interest and realized this isn't the place I need to be, and they've moved on. So, it's not always going to be 100% conversion. It's a small percent of those people at the top, but that's the cycle. And so when you one day were like, I'm done, I don't want to do Instagram Reels anymore. And I'm like,
I have that thought every day, just so you know.
And I'm like, okay, let's think this through. Like, only publish one reel a week. You don't need to have 3. You don't need to post every day. Because remember, again, it's one piece of this marketing pie. And if you are posting on Instagram and then the next day you repurpose that content and you publish something on LinkedIn, maybe there's something that you then put into your weekly newsletter. And maybe you have a newsletter that just is for customers, like existing customers, that's internal. And then maybe you have something that's more for general awareness, right? Like all of those people that visited the website or, came and attended a convo one day, or, and like there are all these people that are in this bigger community, but yet haven't come into like this very niche, like the lab, or like they are a recurring convos attendee, or, whatever that end game is, right? So, it's trying to be present in the places that you need to be, but you don't need to overextend yourself. This is why we have a strategy, why we need to think through it. I have a question for you as the face, as the person running the account, because, co-working space, we wear many hats. Often, you aren't lucky enough to have a social media coordinator, right? It's generally the community manager.
For sure. Yeah.
And so as the person having to create content, and what would you say is your first, like the big, that obstacle that you have to, kind of, that's stopping you, or that kind of just is like blocking you from creating content? What is there, like, maybe it's more than one thing, but generally, what is that one thing that's like, oh, this is that obstacle that I have to climb across or crawl under or smash to pieces before I'm able
Right.
to do what I need to do? What is that for you?
So, I mean, big picture, I'm a creator at heart. That's what I want to be doing all the time, is creating, connecting, teaching, speaking. Like, that's my big picture vision. And the trick for me is, like, when I'm writing, I feel like I'm in my zone of genius. I can write
Mm-hmm.
something right now that will like stir your soul and make you feel a part of things. And like, it just comes really easy to me. When we switch it and we're talking about, let's do something on Instagram or video, YouTube. I mean, we haven't talked a lot
Mm-hmm.
about that, but that's something we're doing more of, and like short form versus long form, this and that. I feel like that comfort and confidence I have when I'm just at my keyboard sharing, just letting thoughts flow and sharing, is gone. I'm like, okay, like, should I do one of those kind of
Mm-hmm.
reels, or should I do a voiceover, or should I do this, or on LinkedIn, should I do a short little quippy thing, or should I do like a longer form thing? Like, it just becomes more like there's so many options, and
Mm-hmm.
we're always trying to get the algorithm to like what we're putting out, while also having people connect and jump into the funnel and come to a convo and stuff. I feel like it gets into this sometimes overwhelming, sometimes just like juggling a lot of balls, and there's not a lot of clarity, where like when I sit down to write my emails, I'm like, okay, I feel
Yeah.
very comfortable.
I feel like that is a common obstacle, and it's that feeling of overwhelm because you're not sure. You have these ideas, you know that you're good at writing, or maybe it's, creating an Instagram reel, but you're not sure what you should be creating or how to even share the information that you have. Um, I so kind of coming back to the core of this conversation,
Yeah.
we thought about, you and I last year talked about what could we be doing for especially our lab members, but just the co-working community, the operators that get stuck, that always are like, I have this obstacle and I don't know how to get past it. And we created a 5-day challenge, the social media audit. And literally, sorry, literally, we have broken down, I always look at it as, you're not like overhauling your social media strategy, or, starting a new account. It's like really just looking at what do you have already? And it's an audit. How do you clean it up? Because it's the same as, I look at it as like, you're just in general, who you are today, chances are is not who you were a year ago. We live in a world where that could be the case for 6 months ago, but, and so I think that it's really, having this practice of auditing your social media accounts, auditing your website, auditing why do we create a new marketing plan every year? It's because what has happened, we've learned from it, and now we create something that's going to improve what we've been doing. It's the same, again, going back to the set it and forget it. It's not, right? We can't just leave it there and let it run itself and think, I'll have all these followers and then they'll come to my website. Great if that is what's happening. I would love to know your secret, but it's, I think that we are like, oh, I posted something and I spent 90 minutes doing this and I only got 10 likes, or I only got 100 views. And that can be defeating. And it's the content you're creating is one piece of that, but there's so many other things in your social account that needs to be updated, that needs to, and so, some common mistakes that I see are, well, the first thing is their bio isn't, like, the link in bio is a full URL, or it's the one that really makes me cringe is when you can see UTM code in the URL that they've posted.
Yeah.
And so we know, like, when someone is coming to you, it's kind of like when someone is, earlier today, you were like, how should I introduce you? Like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not a one-line answer, right? Like, I'm all these things.
Yeah.
And that's the same with when someone who doesn't know who you are, and I'm coming to your Instagram or your LinkedIn brand page, I want to know, who is Kat Johnson? What is CJCo? And you're going to do that in a sentence. And, with your wonderful writing skills, you are able to capture that in, a sentence. But, and then that link is gonna, if I click on it, I'm going to be presented with the most important things about CJCo, right? It's not just going to be, come to the website, because the website, sure, but then, like, I really want to put the best pieces of me. I always think that, like, it's like a dating profile, those featured photos, like the things that are so great about CJCo should be on your link in bio, right? Because you're telling people, I have this community, and this is what we do in this community, and here's what you can find, and ABC, your options. If something matches, great. Here's what you can do next. And if it doesn't, that person then moves on to someone else, right? And so updating the bio is so important, and that could mean a number of things. Of course, the link in bio. I think that the one thing I notice as well is the last post. If you are not active, if you are just not posting consistently, and your last post was in 2020 or in 2021,
Ooh, yeah,
I actually then question, like, is this company still open?
I know.
Are they running? Because I think that's been one of the bigger things of, and this is a whole separate conversation, but coming out of lockdown, right? People put Google, or you come to Instagram. I know that when I want to look at a co-working space, I want to take a look at a restaurant, and I want to look at a brand, I look them up on Instagram, because I want to see what's happening inside the space, what people are saying, what's on their menu. Like, I want to know what it's going to be like being in this place, right? So I go to Instagram. Google can give me the information, like the address or the phone number, or like just the website URL, but Instagram is going to give me a whole lot more. So after COVID, or after lockdown, I think that a lot of businesses, and this is a whole local listings conversation, but weren't updating those listings, right? And so when people are Googling, it says you're closed, but then you're open, or that you're open on Google, but you're actually closed. And I think that confusion is really important to clear up. If you are not updating your website, and you're not updating your social presence, people have no idea if you're open or not.
Yeah.
They could have thought that you closed your business if your last post was in 2020. And if that's the case, and you closed your business, then this conversation does not apply.
Yeah.
But I think that, the bio and, like, the posting frequency is the two things that I always see. And I think it's so important that those are kept up.
We talk about that with blog posts too. Like, if I go to a space's blog and their last post was 9 months ago, I'm like, it shows that either you're scrambling and behind, or don't care. And it's like, neither of those are a good look. But you said something that's so important. I want to re-up this, that people, they may Google search to find, like, the sites in town, co-working spaces in town, but then they're going to your Instagram, and that's something new, and not all space operators understand the power of that. That if someone is searching and finds you on Instagram, what are they going to see? If it's where every square is, we're having a sale, we have an office rental, come in for this, like it's just salesy and not showing them who's in the space. Like, it used to be a big deal that there was a co-working space in town. Now it's not. And in 10 years, there's just going to be spaces everywhere. So it becomes so important. If you want to attract the people who are great fit members for your community, you have to let those people see what's inside, because there's so many flavors of co-working, and there's a good fit for anyone. Like people who want to come in kind of in white shirts and jackets, and others who want to come in with, like, you know, their basketball jersey on or whatever, and then everything in between. But if someone can't tell from your presence, your website, and then all your, you know, your Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, whatever you're doing, they won't see themselves in your space.
Yes. Okay. You brought up something that's a great example I have a great example of what you just mentioned. You said that we aren't thinking about, many of us aren't thinking about how we use Instagram today, or any social media channel. But let's specifically talk about Instagram, because it is searchable, right? Instagram changed so that you can type in keywords and search any of their content, not just brands or like accounts, but tags, location, audio. We can search a lot of different elements. I am currently, I'm not in Seattle right now. I'm currently in Atlanta, and I walked to the coffee shop the other day, and I think there were like 4 co-working spaces on my walk, and I kind of went on a lengthy walk, but there are 4 co-working spaces. And there's one that's like the shiny and new and in a high rise. And then there are some smaller ones, and some I've never even heard of. What do? I looked them up on Instagram. I wanted to see what was it like inside their space. I see their name on the building, but I don't know what they are inside. I don't know if, like, I can walk in my leggings and my sweatshirt and just be like, hi, I need coffee and I need a place to work today, you know, or if I'm going to walk in and be met with like a bay of elevators and I'm like, got to go up to the 40th floor. And that's great. You know, if that's the vibe I wanted and, you know, one day, or maybe, you know, there was another one with a parking lot, and I'm like, I don't have a car here, obviously, but like that could be, you know, so I wanted to know what was inside. What did it look like? And is that where I wanted to be? And we're not really going to Google to do that. We're using the visual elements that are offered on Instagram to be able to go look that up. I'm not going to, if you're like, hey, Karina, I have this recommendation, you should really go check out this coffee shop in Atlanta. Great. I'm not going to go to LinkedIn to look them up. I want to know, what is their coffee like? What are people posting there? Ooh, what else can I order? What does their avocado toast look like? You know, like I am going to go to Instagram. So it's the same with co-working. It's no longer just, oh, I'm the co-working space in town. It's, I have 4 on the same street. So how am I different? And how am I the best place that you need to be? And it's okay, because you're not serving everybody. Right? And so it's again, balancing the values that and the education that you're providing, as well as the entertainment and the, you know, like the visual, the aesthetics of Instagram. And I say Instagram, I think I keep mentioning it. I think that it's probably the most important channel, because it is where the majority of co-working audience, like the members, are going to be. I think that Facebook, now again, if you are targeting Gen X, Facebook might actually be the place that you need to be creating ads and sharing content and building a community. But if you are Gen X, but more millennial audience heavy, like that's, you do need to be present on Instagram. I suppose if you are marketing to Gen Z, then you should potentially be considering Be Real if you wanted to, or TikTok. There's a lot of different options, but you just have to find the place. If you were wanting to attract partners, sponsors, collaborators, LinkedIn is probably the best place for you to be. So again, why are you on this channel? Who are you trying to serve? And before you post, ask yourself, is this content, is there value in this? Is my audience going to find this valuable? And if so, like, great. If you've got an answer for that, post it. If not, and you're questioning, like, I'm just posting to post, maybe not. You don't need to.
Which I sometimes do. I'm just like, I'm just trying to get this out the door. I have something due. It's just going out the door. Some days are like that, and then other days are more thoughtful. But so for us, we reduced it down to Instagram and LinkedIn. Every once in a while, we'll like cross post something to Facebook from Instagram, but really LinkedIn and Instagram. And they're very different channels with it's an interesting challenge to maintain my authenticity and brand integrity and stay aligned while also doing different types of content. That's a cool challenge. But one of the things I've learned is like the power of, I call it the remix, distribution, repurposing, things like someone who's tuned into everything that we're doing will see content get remixed from the email, from the blog, to Instagram, to LinkedIn. And on Instagram, it might be a carousel. On LinkedIn, it might be a text post. I'm constantly pulling stuff from here and sharing it here and there and everywhere. And that's a super hack. If you're not already doing that, start thinking about content in that way, because it helps a lot.
Absolutely. Yep. Repurposing your content. Why work harder? Just work smarter.
Yep. By the way, you said something. What was the t-shirt? I was thinking we need to get Karina that t-shirt. You said something that was hilarious. Maybe it was about Instagram.
I don't remember.
Oh God, I'm going to have to go find out. I'll stick it in the show notes. Okay. Before we jump out of here, I want to make sure we've touched, like, is there anything you want to share? And then really just avoiding overwhelm with all of this. And then if you want to just share a little bit more about the social media audit that we just launched.
So Kat and I created a 5-day challenge. Basically, it's tackling the steps to audit your social media accounts. So we have, I want to say we've broken down these steps, but it's more of we've paved a path from where to begin, the really first thing you should do when it comes to this social media audit. And again, it's 5 days. They're not tasks that are going to take you, an hour. It's day 1, it'll maybe take you 10 minutes. And day 2, it might take you 15 minutes. Day 3 might be a half hour. But it's not, and really these are, like I said, we are paving this path for you to complete this audit. But it's not something that's okay, I'm done in 5 days and that's it. It's really hey, this is your plan for 2023. So part of that is just, of course, updating just the kind of almost like spring cleaning. It's you're cleaning everything up. But in doing so, you're also I might need to look at my strategy and making sure the strategy still makes sense. And again, because maybe your content pillars from last year are no longer the content pillars this year. So kind of looking through that. And then, of course, half the battle is just posting. The other half is engaging and really building a community. So, we kind of walk you through how to do that, how to even approach that. Because again, overwhelm. And then basically it's kind of rinse and repeat, right? You kind of just use these tactics and best practices that we are sharing. And that's it. And it will take you 5 days, and it'll just be a really good way to clean up your social media accounts now that we are at the start of a new year.
Yeah.
And really, you can apply the same logic to your website. Again, your steps are going to be a little different because website is not exactly, you're not cleaning up a bio, but you could use this same logic to apply to your website, your email marketing strategy, if you need to clean up your email lists. But we thought social media was one of the places that we needed to begin because it applies to everyone. I mean, I don't think that there's a single co-working space that's not using social media to reach new audience members and still talk to the existing audience members. So social media audit, it is in the shop.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're really happy with it. It's super quick. And Karina, the rinse and repeat, the reusability of this is so important, and just the mindset of using it for everything. Like, I went to our YouTube about the other day and was like, that's way not the language we're using right now. So in your content, in your business, in your marketing, you should be constantly refining your language and talking about your differentiators and making sure that as co-working booms, that you're still standing out, and your bios may not reflect that, and they may not be current with what you're now, the talking points and the language you're now using.
I have, as we were creating this, this mini, it's a 5-day challenge, a mini challenge, I call it. As we were creating it, literally the one thing that I kept thinking about was, you are not who you were a year ago. You are not who you are a year ago. And take that as you emotionally, mentally, physically.
I mean, that's a big one. It's true.
But
yeah.
Also as a business owner, as an operator, as the face of the brand, as the voice of the brand, who you were a year ago is not who you are today. So if this is where people see you, you got to make sure that it reflects who you are today.
So true. Karina, I love talking with you about this stuff. We could just endlessly go on and on. Like there were 5 different little subtopics in here we could do a whole episode on. So thank you.
Thank you
for your time, and really appreciate it. Any last thoughts before we jump off?
No, I would just love to hear your feedback for anyone that is taking the challenge. Let us know what you think. And yeah, that's all.
Thanks, Karina.
Good luck. Thank you. Bye.